So, Hare Krishna, everybody. This is Krishna Dasa. Welcome to today's episode of Bhagavad Gita sessions. Today, we're going to cover Shlokas 4.6 to 4.12. So, before we start, I will say the mantra to Guru and God. Prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timurandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So,
Sir, Guruji, can we say that for you? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I'll start playing these slokas.
प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवाम्यात्ममायया यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन वीतरागभयक्रोधा मन्मया मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञानतपसा पूता मद्भावमागताः ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः काङ्क्षन्तः कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा.
Hare Krishna. Ekanshji, go ahead.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna, everyone. 4.6. Although I am unborn, and my transcendental body never deteriorates. And although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. 4.7. Whenever there is a decline in religious practice, dissident of Bharata, and a predominant rise of a religion, at that time I descend myself. 4.8. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear in millennium and after millennium. 4.9. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. 4.10. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. Thus they all attained transcendental love for me. 4.11. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Partha. 4.12. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get the results from fruitive work in this world. Hare Krishna. Om Sai Ram.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Guruji, for giving me this opportunity.
No, thank you for being there, and I really appreciate that. Okay.
Thank you, Guruji.
So we start with Shloka 4.6, where Krishna is talking about his Yogamaya. So Krishna says that although I am unborn, the Lord of all entities, and have an imperishable nature, yet I appear in this world by virtue of Yogamaya. That is his divine power. See, there are many people who will debate and argue, and they will say that God is just formless. They will insist that God does not have a form. No. And they will also have this, silly doubts. They will say, oh, Krishna was born like a human, he died like a human, so how can Krishna be God? These kind of questions sometimes they come. And so here Krishna is explaining his Leela. He says that he appears in this world and plays the role of a human for the sake of humankind. The humans can only appreciate a superhuman, right? I mean, if God came in the form of an animal, I mean, we are never going to acknowledge that entity as God. I mean, that is our limitation. So to help us, Krishna also comes here as a human being. That is his Yogamaya. See, this verse is pretty philosophical. It's got a lot of meaning. So if you look at 4.6, it consists of 3 parts. So the first part, Krishna says, although I am unborn, imperishable, and the Lord of all beings. So here Krishna is referring to his divine nature. So Krishna says, I am eternal, I am unborn, and I am the controller of all beings. The second part of this sloka, Krishna says, controlling my own material nature. So here Krishna is talking about his supremacy over the material world. So Krishna is not subject to the laws of the material world, but he controls them, he governs them. The third part of the sloka, Krishna says, I come into being by my own magic potency. See how this sloka has at least 3 parts to it. So Krishna is explaining the concept of the avatars. And he says how I come to the material world by my own will. See, in essence, this verse 4.6 pretty much condenses Krishna's divine and supreme nature. It explains how Krishna is not born by the material world. Krishna is not born by the laws of the material world. And he taking avatars is by his own will. It's not because of karmic law. Everybody else, when we manifest on earth, it is because of our karmic deeds. It is because of our karmic account. And based on our karmic account, Krishna himself has explained how we are born, where we are born. It is all determined. But that doesn't apply to Krishna. So when Krishna is manifesting, it is not because of any karmic account. He is manifesting just based on his own love for his devotees, his own free will. That is what he wants us to understand. And as you know, we discussed this earlier also. When Krishna, during the period of Mahabharata, in that yuga, when Krishna was born, or when Krishna was manifested, Krishna performed all the duties. He never said, I am God, so I am not going to do this, I am not going to do that. He performed all the duties that were applicable to whatever varna he was part of, whatever ashrama he was part of. He performed the duties of a student, he performed duties of a king, he performed duties of a friend, he performed the duties of a husband, right? But because a lot of people acknowledge that this is a divine avatar, I mean, it's God's avatar, and they saw Krishna performing his duties, that inspired an entire generation to believe in performing their duties. That was one of the primary intentions of Krishna's that particular avatar. Of course, to fix dharma, adharma, all that is there. But in that particular yuga, he wanted to make people follow the dharma of Nishkama Karma Yoga. That was his primary goal. Now, coming back to these people who will question us or who will say that, God does not have a form. They are not wrong. I mean, God is both with form and without form. What is wrong is to insist that, I mean, in other words, we are controlling what God can be. We are saying, no, God, you cannot have a form. No. Why? I mean, we say God is all powerful. So why does God not have the power to have a form? So Swami Prabhupada gives the example of sun. So how do you define sun? Because nobody has touched the sun. Nobody has actually lived on sun. So how do you define a sun, right? So some of us will say the sunlight is what is sun. And some people will just vouch. They will say that sun means just that light. So they are half true. They are not completely there, because the full truth is there is no light without the actual sun, and there is no sun if there is no sunlight. So it's all together, it's all one and the same. So Krishna himself has said that I am both with a form as well as without a form. And Krishna has advised us that as humans, because we are using senses which are themselves manifested, it is not easy for us to focus on something which is formless. For that, he advises us to focus on his form. And he says, yes, I have a divine form. You can focus on my form. And Krishna also says that I don't have to be born in the human form, but I choose to do so. So why does Krishna choose to be born? Now, Krishna is going to explain that in the next 2 verses. Now, before that, there is one small detail I want to explain. I also made a mistake couple of minutes ago. So Krishna always says that he will manifest or he will appear. Krishna does not necessarily say that he will be born. So that's a very subtle difference, because as per the scriptures, Krishna was not technically born from Devaki's womb, although he made it look like that using his Yogamaya. So it is said that before actually being born, he manifested himself in the form of Vishnu in front of Devaki and Vasudev. So that is the complete story of Krishna's appearance. So then we come to these next 2 shlokas, which are very popular. In fact, if you see all the Bhagavad Gita based or Krishna based or Mahabharata based episodes and all, for some reason there are 3 shlokas which always are played, and they are very, very popular. The top one is 247, Karmanyevadikaraste, and then the next is these 2, 4.7 and 4.8. Very, very powerful, prominent. So 4.7 says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. And 4.8, Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashayascha dushkrutam dharma sanstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a decline in dharma, whenever there is increase in adharma, O Arjuna, at that time I manifest myself on the earth. And what are his goals for manifesting? The first goal is to protect the sadhus, the righteous people. The second goal is to destroy the wicked people, the adharmic. And the third goal is re-establish the principles of dharma. That was one of the main reasons for the Kurukshetra war. The war was not to win a kingdom. The war was to teach people the consequences of not following dharma and to inspire people to get back on the path to dharma. And Krishna says, I will continue doing this in every yuga. What a wonderful assurance. So Krishna says, don't worry. Whenever there is adharma, you can be sure that I will be there. Now, there are other people who have questioned, who have said, oh, if Krishna is God, if Krishna is so powerful, why does Krishna have to himself come? Why can't Krishna just send some assistant, some secretary? Because he's so powerful, right? So, valid question. So, there is this story of Akbar. Everybody knows Akbar. We all had it in our textbooks, right? Now, it is said that Akbar was a very unique ruler, because he was not cruel like the other Mughal rulers. In fact, it is said that Akbar used to read the Bhagavad Gita, and he even got it translated to the Persian language. So that is why Akbar was a very unique leader in that era. And it is said, there is a story, I cannot vouch for it, but I've read it. There is a story that Akbar read these verses, 4.7 and 4.8 of the Bhagavad Gita. And then he goes and he kind of asks Birbal, and he says, why is your God Krishna saying that he will himself come? What is the need? Why can't he just send his secretary or some other official? So Birbal says, Janab, I will answer this question to you in a few days' time. You know how Birbal is. Birbal is very smart, and when he gives an answer, that answer is very impactful and powerful. It is not just theoretical answer. So what does Birbal do? Birbal one day organizes a boating trip. In the boating trip, he invites Akbar and Akbar's son, So Akbar's small son, and a few of Akbar's ministers and Birbal, now they are all in a royal boat, and they are sailing. And somewhere in the middle of the water, when they were somewhere in the middle of the river, Birbal just pushes Akbar's son into the water. And Akbar's son just falls into the water. And Akbar's son doesn't really know swimming. And then guess what happens? Without thinking, Akbar just jumps into the water. And he goes and he says, because Akbar is a king, he's a very strong king and he's very good in swimming. He jumps into the water, he just catches hold of his son, he brings him back to the boat, and he tells Birbal, have you lost it? Are you crazy? I mean, what were you thinking? I mean, how dare you do that? What's going on in your mind? But Akbar also knows that Birbal is not an idiot. Akbar knows that Birbal is an extremely smart guy. So he's puzzled. He says, Birbal, why did you do that? Then Birbal says, Janab, I think I've given you the answer. When your son was in the water, you didn't ask your minister to jump and save him. You jumped yourself. Why? At that point, Akbar got the answer. Because he had so much love for his son, that when his son was in trouble, he himself had to go and save him. Just like that, Shri Krishna is so compassionate. He has so much love for his devotees that whenever his devotees are suffering because of adharma, he himself comes and he fixes the situation and he saves and protects his devotees. That is the whole reason why Krishna himself appears yuga after yuga. So here there is a concept of avatars that I would like to explain. So because there are these popular movies like Dashavatara, and also people think that there are only 10 avatars of God, which is not completely true. So Krishna takes innumerable avatars, infinite number of times, and Krishna will manifest himself whenever he wants, wherever he wants. There is no limit to it. Although, according to Vedas, the avatars are categorized into 6 categories. That is for our understanding, basically. So those categories are Purusha Avatara, Leela Avatara, Guna Avatara, Manvantra Avatara, Yuga Avatara, and Satyavesha Avatara. So the Purusha Avataras, they are the driving force of the universe. Right? We have discussed this earlier in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Also, it is explained that only 25% of the universe can be seen. Can be perceived. In other words, only 25% of the universe is physical in nature. The other 75% is spiritual in nature. And there are 3 fundamental forms of Vishnu. One is called Karanodakshaya Vishnu, which is the cause for the existence of the universe itself. So the universe came into existence because of Karanodakshaya. So he is the Karan. That is the first Vishnu. Second Vishnu is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, where every universe, so there is this concept of multiverse. Today science fashionably says, multiverse and all of that, but we had it thousands of years ago in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, all of them already talk about this. They talk about innumerable universes. So every universe will have its own Vishnu, and that is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And within each universe, there will be Shirodakshaya, which is the Vishnu that is in everybody's heart. In fact, that is the Vishnu that we say permeates the entire universe. It's in every atom. It's in everybody. So we come back to avatars. So Leela avatar represents divine incarnations taken for the purpose of some Leelas, performing some particular Leela. Like Krishna, Narasimha, Buddha, they are all notable examples of Leela avatars. And then there are other avatars, like the Guna avatars, who are deeply connected with the Gunas. For example, Vishnu is for Sattva Guna. Brahma is exemplifying Rajoguna. Shiva is indicating Tamoguna. There's nothing bad in Shiva, but Shiva is responsible for destruction, and destruction is associated with tamas. That is why we say Shiva is a representative of Tamoguna. So these are all Guna avatars. So I want to quickly talk about some mathematics. This is just for your information. It's not too important for our progress in bhakti. If you don't get it, it's okay. So a single day in Brahma's lifespan is equal to 1000 yugas. And then each yuga is further divided into 14 manvantaras. And then manvantara avataras mean they are the avatars which are manifested during each of these manvantara. So there are many examples like we have Ajita, Satyasena, Rishabha, etc. They are all manvantara avataras. And then we have yuga avatars, where in each yuga you have an avatar. For example, in Treta Yuga, we had Rama, Lord Rama. In Dwapara Yuga, we had Shri Krishna. In Kali Yuga, he already appeared as Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu. So these are all Yuga avatars. And then lastly, we have Shakti Vesha avatars, which are powerful incarnations which are manifested for particular purposes. There are countless of them. Like Narada Muni is also considered a Shakti Vesha avatar because he had a very specific purpose to teach the world. That is why he was a Raja Rishi. He was a guru of all gurus. Veda Vyas is another example of Shakti Vesha avatar. Parashurama was another example. So as you can see, Lord Krishna is manifesting himself in various categories, innumerable forms, all for the benefit of his devotees and humanity. So the key point, why we are talking about all of this, why are we talking about all of this? The key point to note is Krishna can be present among us at any time, in any form. It is not like only a very large entity with like Sudarshan Chakra in its fingers. It's not like, only that if I see, that means Krishna. That is not the right perception. Krishna can be there among us in any form, at any time. So that is why we need to have humility and purity of heart, so that we can acknowledge his presence. And there is also a saying, there is also a belief that Krishna can also momentarily appear in some person or some people for your benefit. Okay, so there is a very interesting story which I read many years ago. So there is a story of this very religious man. So there is a flood. So Florida, in the state of Florida, there is a lot of flooding suddenly happening, and that particular city that he is in is getting flooded. Water level is rising. So the people, the government officials, they are making announcements saying, hey, everybody has to evacuate. They are coming. But this person says, I believe in God. I know God will come and save me. So these people come, they say what they have to say, but then they go away. But this person doesn't move, right? And eventually the water rises. So this person has to go to the top floor of his house. And at that time, a guy brings a boat and he says, dude, the water level is rising. You need to get out of here. But this guy is a strong believer in God. So he says, thank you, but I believe that my God will come and save me. So he's praying. He's busy praying. He says, you can go. God will come and save me. Now the water level keeps rising. It becomes dangerous. So finally, they send a helicopter. So the helicopter comes above and they make an announcement saying, we can, drop a ladder for you to climb, but this is a final warning because we cannot help you anymore. This guy says, thank you so much, but I'm very confident that my God will come save me. And the helicopter goes away, the water rises, and eventually this guy drowns, he dies. And fortunately, but he still goes to heaven and he's in front of God. He's very angry. He's fuming. He's telling God, I had so much faith in you. I was praying to you and you still didn't save me. And God smiles and says, who do you think sent you that guy with the announcement? Who do you think sent that boat? And then who do you think sent the helicopter? What do you expect? He says, God came in front of you 3 times. You didn't recognize God. What can I do? So that is a message for all of us. Sometimes we say, God, why have you not come in front of me? Why have you not helped me? But small, incidences happen in our lives. We just don't realize, we just don't recognize that many times, God is helping us through other people, through other events, through other, even animals sometimes. That is what we need to have the humility and purity to recognize, and that is the reason we are reading about this avatars, because Krishna himself has explained that I can come in innumerable forms, I can come innumerable times. You just be ready for me. I can be anywhere, anytime. I hope that makes sense. So, but if you look at these Shlokas again, 4.7, 4.8, they are very comforting, but also they are disturbing. Why? Disturbing because Shri Krishna says that again and again there will be adharma. Again and again the world will fall into chaos. And the comforting part is that the Lord says, whenever that happens, I will keep coming again and again. So these are both there. A warning is also there, assurance is also there. Now, see, we need to understand that we spoke about this earlier also, because ultimate goal is divine love, and love cannot be forced. If it is forced, it's not love. It has to come through free will. Only then it is love. So if there has to be true love, there has to be free will. That is why God created us, and He has given us free will. And the definition of free will is you are permitted to make mistakes. And we as humans take complete advantage of this freedom, and we make royal mistakes all the time. That is why again and again the world falls into an adharmic state, a chaotic state. And then God comes and says, Arey Baba, I gave you free will for some other purpose. You again messed up. Okay, I'll again fix. But He's so kind. He's again giving free will and going back. See, that is the whole, Leela. So our job is to understand this whole mechanism and understand that our job is to get into the mode of divine love. That is the only true reason and purpose of this free will. Is using that we need to love God. Free will doesn't mean, oh, it's my, there's a song, it's my life. Like, why do you tell me what I need to do? Today I feel like jumping from a mountain, I will do it. That's free will. I feel like stabbing somebody, why do you stop me? It's my free will. That is not what free will is for. Free will is, so we have to utilize it to get into the mode of a loving devotion to God. That is why we say Bhakti Yoga is superior, because Bhakti Yoga closely aligns with the purpose for why humans have free will. So this is also one of the main motivations why I set out on this journey of teaching Bhagavad Gita, this journey of writing a book, this journey of extracting those actionable items from the Bhagavad Gita, because I realized that that is the only purpose of being born with a free will. And in 4.9, Shri Krishna says that those who understand the divine nature of my birth and activities, O Arjuna, they never have to take birth again. They will directly come to my abode. See, Krishna is giving the knowledge also. And Krishna is saying, if you just understand what I'm saying, that is enough. That will itself give you liberation. How much more simple can Krishna make it for us? What we have to do? We just have to think a little less of ourselves, because we are so smart, we are all so intelligent, we know everything. We have to just think a little less of ourselves, empty our cups, open our hearts, and then Krishna's message becomes very clear. It's very easy, very simple. And Krishna said again and again, if you want mukti, you will get mukti. And for that, you don't have to stand in one leg for 1,000 years. It's really not required. It's very simple, he says. Just be humble, have purity and be devoted to me. How hard can that be? So again, Krishna says, you have to understand what I'm teaching. And how can we understand what he's teaching? When we have a heart full of faith and devotion. That's all. That's all we need. And when will faith come? When you are humble. And when your heart is open. That's pretty much it. And Krishna again repeats. He says, there are few things which will prevent you from coming to me. There are a few things which will prevent you from understanding my teachings. What are those things? Fear, anger, attachment. Very strong vikaras. He says, take care of that. So 4.10 is another very profound verse that tells us how to grow and improve ourselves and what our ultimate goal should be. Very, very profound statement Krishna makes in 4.10. Krishna says that stop letting your wants and worries upset your peace of mind. I hope you understand what Krishna is saying. Very simple, but very powerful. This is what he meant by samatvam all this while. So he said, yeah, everybody has wants and everybody has worries, but don't let that impact your peace of mind. And if you can do even that, you can start focusing on God no matter what your circumstances. And then you're pretty much achieved. You pretty much figured out the mechanism. After that, there is no stopping you. You have to go towards God, and Krishna himself will come and pull you towards him. So, sometimes people are drowning, and then there are people in a boat who want to help them, so they throw a rope, or sometimes they throw a life jacket. Now, the drowning person, all they have to do is catch hold of the rope. But the person who wants to save cannot catch the rope for you. You have to catch the rope, right? The same is with Krishna. Krishna says, I'm there to pull you, but you have to hold my hand. I cannot hold my hand for you. Because he has given us free will. You have to keep coming back to this whole equation. Somebody will say, oh, why can't Krishna just forcibly pick me and take me away? But that beats the whole point of free will. So Krishna has given us free will, and Krishna says, use that free will and just hold on to me. I will grab you. So Krishna has said that there are 3 important steps to understand what I am teaching and how to evolve spiritually. Krishna says the first step, learn from a teacher. Second, Shravan Manan Nididhyasan. I'm not going to explain because I've repeated it 100 times already. The third is, again, Krishna says, practice, practice, and practice. Don't just limit to theory. You have to practice. It's like going to YouTube, and I didn't have YouTube when I was a child, but when I was a child, I used to be afraid of water. But I used to have a lot of senior friends because we used to live in a small village. I used to live with my grandparents when I was very, very young. Beautiful little village with a lot of ponds and wells and lakes, but I was always afraid. But my grandfather was a very popular guy, so we always had a lot of senior, strong boys around who I could go ask, and I would be always asking them, swimming means what? What do you do in swimming? How do you, jump in the water? How do you stay afloat and all of that? And my grandfather will come and say, you can talk to them all your life, but that won't help. You just have to jump in the damn well, And I could never do that. I would always be theorizing. I want to make sure that I know everything about swimming, But I tell you, the only way I learned was one day he instructed one of his confidential senior guys to just push me. So I was just looking at the water. Somebody gave me a kick in the back, and I fell in the water, and I struggled for a few seconds, but then I learned how to stay afloat, But that is what is important. You can have all the knowledge, but actually, unless you practice, it's not going to help you. So please keep in mind whatever we are reading and find ways to practice them. So Krishna says, I've given you these 3 simple steps, and if you follow this, then you will be called a jnana tapasvi. In other words, following these 3 steps is what is known as jnana tapas. It's big words, but actually they are very simple concepts. So I don't know if you remember 2.56, Krishna said that he who is a sthita pragya does not get disturbed when faced with miseries. Such a person's mind is free from anger, fear, and attachment. So this concept of anger, fear, attachment has come in 2.56 also. So again, to repeat, we need samatvam, get free from anger, fear, and attachment. Use bhakti yoga to surrender to God. And then we will be able to understand Krishna's Leelas and become dear to him. See, our job, what is our job in this life? Our job is to become dear to Krishna. He will take care of the rest. Our job is not to get mukti. Our job is not to become perfect. In other words, you shouldn't think that it is you who is going to get mukti. It is you who is going to become perfect. It is you who is going to become a great yogi. No, that is not your job, because you should never be in the mindset of doership. Our job is how do I get dear to Krishna? And then Krishna does the rest. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. That is the last part where Krishna says, your job is the first part. Ananya chintan. Focus on me. It should be a devotion of conviction, not convenience. It is not like I have nothing else to do today. It is raining outside or it is too hot. That's why I'm sitting and thinking about Krishna. That's not going to take us too far. So Krishna just wants to see a little bit of conviction. And if you do that, tell yourself that our job or my job is to become dear to Krishna, and the rest Krishna will take care. Whether it is mukti or bhakti or whatever, it is up to Krishna. So this is another aspect of what Krishna was saying, is that is pretty much the goal of the Vedas. The entire Vedanta, in a way, is there to teach us this lesson, the lesson that we are just learning. Because Vedanta wants us to get dear to God. Vedanta wants us to unite with God. That is the goal. That is the purpose of Vedanta. But once the soul becomes God realized, then those teachings no longer are relevant. Those teachings no longer are required. That is why he was telling Arjuna that don't get too hung up. Don't get so attached and hung up on those ritualistic aspects. It is like moha kalilam. And then Krishna talks about the importance of feelings or bhava. See, there is one thing you have to keep in mind. It's a very, very important concept. It applies to Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. There is also this fad called as law of attraction. Even there they talk about the same thing. The simple thing to keep in mind is, be it God or be it the universe, they don't understand words. Yes, you heard it correctly. Neither God nor universe understand words. Words don't mean anything. They only understand feelings and intent. So there is a very popular example given in law of attraction that says, you can stand on one end of the road and your goal, you want to reach the other side of the road. Now, there are two ways of doing that. The first way is you are standing and you are saying, I just hope I don't get into an accident. I just hope I don't get into an accident. I just hope I don't get into an accident. But guess what? By the time you are middle of the road, you get into an accident. And then you are like, but I was wishing I should not get into an accident, because the universe doesn't understand I should not, I hope. Universe doesn't understand. Universe understands accident because you are focusing on accident. Your bhava, you are feeling an accident, right? So the better way to do that is say, I hope I reach safely. I hope I reach safely. I hope I reach safely. In other words, your bhava or your intent is about safety. So you are feeling safety. Universe understands that and it will give you safety. Why we are discussing that is, God is the same way. Like you can stand in front of Lord Krishna's statue and say, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare. But in the mind, you are like, Hare, tomorrow I need to go to this party. Hare, that friend was telling me something else. And, Hare, oh, that dude out there, he's wearing such a nice watch. And that is what is going on in your mind. Krishna is not listening to HAREKRISHNA. That means nothing. They are just letters and words invented by us, right? What is most important is the bhava, the feeling. So you can say Hare Krishna just once, but say it with so much feeling that Krishna should be in front of you. That is the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can just say Hare Krishna and that's it. So that is a very powerful teaching you have to keep in mind. In other words, why I'm saying this is sometimes some teachers or some clubs or some societies, they insist on a particular number that you need to chant, or somebody will say, there are some people, like just last week, somebody approached me and said, are you chanting at least for 60 minutes? Nothing wrong in that. I mean, it's all for discipline, so that you have some minimum and you do all of that. But keep in mind, that is not the goal. So it's not like your goal is, okay, I have to chant 108 times. And once it is done, I do a Facebook post and saying, hey, today I did 108. And, but when you are saying 108 times, how many times did the bhava of devotion really come to you? That is what is important. If you can say 108 times with bhava, that is the perfect. I mean, you are done on the path to becoming a bhakti yogi. But given a choice, the preference should be bhava. The preference should not be the words or all of the other things. They are all tools. They are not the goal. That is what we need to understand. See, there is a very, very important thing you have to understand. This also we discussed earlier. These rituals, so the rituals are also true. So they are also there for a purpose. There are, even today, there are very powerful people who can, take care of some of your problems by performing some rituals. It is true. It happens. I've seen it. But the very important thing to keep in mind, that is the mechanical aspect of the universe. Because Prakriti has some laws. And if you follow the laws, if you do a certain thing, it will give you a certain things. Okay. But a very, very important lesson to keep in mind, extremely important. It is okay, you can do that. But keep in mind that when you are doing all of that, you are dealing with the machine aspect of the universe, which is a very mechanical, very perfect, and very merciless aspect, because there is no concept of mercy or heart there. It is just a machine. In other words, tomorrow if you make a mistake, it will also give you something negative. That is one of the main reasons Krishna says don't run behind rituals. It is like a moha kalilam. Today you do something right, you will get something good. Tomorrow you do something wrong, you will get something bad. And it is a cycle. It is an endless cycle, and you will get lost there. So that is why these rituals are not something we should focus on. We should rather focus on bhava. You don't need to know any great mantra. Just have a loving devotion in your heart. Look at God and say, I offer my prayers. That is enough for any occasion. And then Krishna says, if you approach me with that bhava, with love and devotion, even if you take one step towards me, I will also take one step towards you. See, ignorant people say that Krishna is not having a big heart. He takes only one step for every step of you, but they don't understand that Krishna's one step is bigger than a million steps of ours. So when Krishna says, I will take a step, it's a very big thing. So keep that in mind. So Krishna wants us to understand his teachings, purify ourselves, approach him with love, humility, faith, surrender to him. And Krishna assures us that he will then take care of all our needs. And Krishna is saying, this is the reason Krishna says, don't focus on short-term gains. Don't say that don't treat the universe like a vyapar. Don't say that, okay, today I have facing some difficulty, so I will pray to Ganesha. Tomorrow I want to, deal with an enemy, so then I will go pray to Durga. Day after tomorrow, I need to pass an exam, so I go pray to Saraswati. Krishna says that kind of thing is more like vyapar, and don't do that. That is all Krishna is saying. Not because demigods are not worthy of worshipping. Krishna is saying the way we approach them is what should be right, and don't make it a vyapar, don't make it a business. That is not going to take you to the ultimate goal. And Krishna also says, if you come to me and if you worship me indirectly, all the gods are also, it is as if you worshipped all the other gods. I mean, your prayers is going to all of them also. The very, very important part to keep in mind is when we approach these demigods for certain things, they will give us what we want, because that is what we are going to them. We are going to them with wants. Mannat, right? So they will fulfill your wants. Whereas when you pray to Krishna, Krishna always takes care of your need. It's a very small but very powerful word. There's a big difference between a want and a need. So Krishna knows exactly what you need, and you will get that. Whereas if you are in this business of spirituality, business of worship, prayers, then you will keep getting what you want, but that may not be the right thing for you. So very, very important. So that takes us to the sixth pragma. Worship the supreme God and worship only out of love, not with the intent of gaining something. So thank you, everybody. With that, we can conclude today's session. Once again, I'm truly grateful to all the satsang members who are present here regularly and patiently listening to everything I say. So I'll open the floor. If you have any questions, comments, you're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
What are demigods? Apart from Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, rest of the gods are called demigods?
There are countless demigods. In fact, in our culture, we have 64 million gods. They are documented. So the saying is that the belief that we have in Vedanta is there is a God for everything. For example, there is a God for rivers, there is a God for mountains, there is a God for trees, there is a God for sun, there is a god for moon. So like that, they're all gods, but they are demigods because they are not yet united with Krishna. They are not yet united with Vishnu. So that is the only difference between a god and demigod. They have a purpose and they are here to help us. If you remember in the previous chapter, we spoke about Deepaji, you remember? That was your revision question. What is the link between terrestrial beings and celestial beings? You remember the answer also?
Yagya. Chanting the
Yagya.
mantra.
Yes. So Yagya, Krishna has said, is a link between celestial beings and terrestrial beings. In other words, if you want to reach to those gods, the way to do that is through Yagya, sacrifice. But all Krishna is saying is, but then if you make it a business, that I will do this sacrifice and I have to get something from this god, then you may get what you want, but that is not necessarily going to take you towards your ultimate goal of spiritual evolution and liberation and union with me. So you will become, entrapped in that busy business. That is all Krishna is saying. I hope that answers your question, Smita ji.
Yes.
The demigods also are the part of Krishna, because the creation comes. When the creation comes means, so the God created everything, so many species, everything. But they are also created, and everything oneness with God means.
That is right. I mean, it's not just demigods. I mean, anything that you can see in the universe is created by God. But we don't look in the mirror and pray, right, at our reflection, because you can say that that is also created by God. So that is true. Everything is created by God. But then it is also true that there is this Maya in action, which is separating this creation from God. There is a separation. So even Indra, for that matter, is the king of demigods. But he is also separated. I mean, he's not united. He's not yet reached that stage where he'll unite with God. So that is the reason. So once the unity happens, then there is no separation. Then you cannot say that if you can point at something, then that is not in unison with God. It's like, I hope I'm making sense, Lakshmi ji.
Still, there are lots of things, even the class, everything I'm having that one. Just I want to tell you, Kanchi Mahaperiva. Kanchi Mahaperiva.
Yeah. So what happened to Kanchi Mahaperiva?
No, just he was telling to one of the devotees, just I'm saying the mantras or anything, but I'm not involving myself towards God, but I want to do it continuously. But he said, that's good. You're having a practice to do that one. But your mind is not involved in towards God. But one day, because because of the that's karmas, it will be going on, because this is a way to cleanse you. You're telling the mantras without attaching. There is no, he was telling so accepting his mentality is a very good thing. And then practicing. So by practicing, if you're going on, do it. One day you will indulge yourself. ரெண்டு மூணு எக்ஸாம்பிள்ஸ் மாதிரி எனக்கு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. Still, அது வந்து I mean, I don't know how to.
Yeah, maybe we can have an offline discussion. I can talk to you in Tamil and See, there are many ways to do it. There is a long way, there is a short way. Like Apurva is a PhD student, she can tell you, even to approach material sciences, even to approach material knowledge, there are many ways to do that. There is an easy way and there is a tough way, right? Like in India, we call it rattabaji. That is also a way to approach a subject. Write something 1,000 times and eventually it will go in. But is that the most effective way? Is there an easier way, right? So Ekanji has his hands up.
Guruji, I just remember some question that somebody told me that when I was going to come to Canada. So somebody told me that if Krishna wants you to go to Canada, why you were born in India? He must have made you born in somewhere in Canada. How could you answer this thing? How could I mean, we can answer this thing.
The thing is, how do you know what Krishna wants? I mean, first of all, I mean, secondly, if you were born in Canada today, you would probably not have been in this Bhagavad Gita session. You are here because of the sanskars that you had in your upbringing in India, right?
Yeah.
Where is that friend? I don't see that friend here in the satsanga. Why is it that you are here, he's not here?
He used to chant Hare Krishna a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a practical example, right? Of bhava being more important. He's chanting Hare Krishna, but he doesn't have faith in Krishna. He's like, if Krishna wanted whatever, right? So these are all, I mean, in Lakshmiji's language, we call it kudarkam, so it's, so Krishna has a reason for everything. We don't understand it. It's our immaturity. So then we question Krishna. It's like, if, I don't know, I mean, I can go on talking, but see what Krishna has said, you do what is rightful action. Very important. Correct? And you do it without attachment. That is also understood. And then Krishna says, I will take care of the results. If I think you need to be in Canada, you will be in Canada. If I think you don't need to be in Canada, you will not be in Canada. But Krishna is not going to come and fill the form for you. Krishna is not going to come and, talk to the agent in the embassy for you. That is the rightful action you have to do. You do it, but don't worry about the results. If Krishna thinks you have to be here, only then you will be here, no matter what you do. समझ रहे हैं क्या?
Yes, Guruji. I guess some.
अच्छा ठीक है.
Rightful action and using your free will in a right way.
Yeah. So, how that makes sense. Okay, then thank you so much. It's a real pleasure seeing you week after week. So, let me first stop recording. Hare Krishna.